Welcome Virgo to your in-depth monthly forecast for June 2024 for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. On the screen now I'm showing the event chart right at the start of the month, which is going to provide a backdrop for the whole of June. It begins with Mercury, your ruler, having just moved over Uranus, the planet of surprises, as May came to a close. This creates a degree of excitement and electricity, but also it could see you feeling quite restless as you come into this new month. The big picture is that Uranus has been in this part of your situation since March 2019, full time, and been provoking you in some ways to look at things afresh, perhaps expand your horizons, be a bit more experimental. But this runs counter to another part of your nature which really likes a degree of structure, sometimes metronomically ordered. Now Pluto's been pushing you to review all of that since January the 21st this year and for 11 weeks last year. And perhaps this is going to be the month when you do decide to make some big changes. But certainly thinking about these options can give you a sense of freedom in itself. You don't necessarily have to action them, but if you do want to make some changes, it could be around your life role, the way you interact with the world at large, or perhaps to do with your ambitions. Now, the reason for that is that Jupiter, the planet of growth, optimism, but good fortune, is right at the top of your chart, nestled on the 10th solar house cusp. The planet that's most prominent in a chart will always be the most influential. Jupiter only visits this part of your situation once every 12 years. It can be about opportunity. Sometimes Jupiter can kid us into thinking that things will work out incredibly well, but we actually have to put the effort in as well. But what's going to help you through the first 11 days of this month, Virgo, is that Pluto, the planet of change and transformation, is linking very powerfully to Jupiter through the signs of Gemini and Aquarius for the first time in over 220 years. Now Pluto has been asking you to check out things like your exercise regime, your diet, your nutrition. Is that job that you do where you're very conscientious and committed and very efficient, is it actually something you're still enjoying in quite the way you were? If you're wanting to change something in quite a profound way in your life, perhaps entering more voluntary activities if you've finished work, interacting with your local community more, perhaps taking up a leadership role where your experience and knowledge can be applied to help others, that also can be an area that really can be an opportunity for you this month. But you can also see that the Sun and Venus are pretty close together, only 1 degree apart as this month begins. Venus in Gemini is quite flirty, to be honest. Jupiter in Gemini is detrimented, but it doesn't mean to say that you can't still work with it, because for you the 10th house is how people become much more conscious of what you have to offer, and it is therefore potentially about goals and ambitions and your career. So having the two planets of fortune, Jupiter and Venus, in this area along with the Sun suggests that your people skills is going to be important in order to elevate your profile. So it's not just about the knowledge you've got or the experience you've got, it is about connecting to people. Now Mars, the planet of desire, is in a very close alliance with Chiron as this month begins. And one of the things that could be driving you along is if you don't really feel recognized in a financial context. But also the 8th house can be where we get up close and personal. It can be about intimacy. And you can see that Chiron's very close to Mars. But also in your 7th house, very much to do with relating, we have the shimmering conjunction between Neptune and the Moon. It could be that someone's going to really capture your imagination this month. But stern Saturn has been asking quite a lot of questions of your approach to relationships since March 2023. There may have been some disappointments, maybe even an ending around a friendship, perhaps a relationship with a colleague, or even in a personal context. but if we work with Saturn, it can reward us. So Saturn can be your sentry in a way this month, Virgo, just asking you to keep your guard up a little bit, because there are going to be some opportunities coming through the sheer force of your personality. So your sense of humour is often very dry and very quick, and that can be something that can connect you to people. But that combination of Neptune and the Moon also link very positively to Jupiter. So your ability to listen, be sensitive to what other people want from you, and lean into their needs is going to be very, very helpful to you. But the raw passion of Mars could mean that you might get a little bit impatient as the month goes on if you don't really feel that you're being recognized for all the virtue that you've invested. But let's go back to the start of the month, because your ruler Mercury is going to move forwards pretty quickly, and by the 3rd it unites with Jupiter. But as it does, Jupiter is aligning with Pluto exactly. It's probably one of the most powerful days of the whole of this year. I know a lot of people were talking about the 20th, 21st with Jupiter and Uranus. This is right up there, because the transformational energies of Pluto with the growth factor of Gemini, particularly because Gemini, Venus and the Sun are in the sign of everyday communication, this is a great opportunity for you to send that CV, do that presentation, rebuild your website, launch a new product, connect with influential players, join a business club or associates that your personality and your skills can be merged together in a way which will make them more aware of what you've got to offer. Now on the 6th, the new moon also embraces the energy of Venus. So for the following month, it may be a case of who as much as what you know. Important connections professionally, for sure. But if you're someone who does want to help others, the benevolence of Jupiter in the 10th house may see you working in your local food bank, or perhaps volunteering to encourage youngsters with a sports team. Anything where your knowledge and experience can shine through is definitely going to be helped by the charm of Venus. But also remember, Venus is about money. So this could be a key time, this particular new moon, to improve the financial and practical and tangible parts of your existence. But on the 9th, that impatience of Mars starts to show itself, but not before from the 5th through to the 12th, that as the Sun and Venus move forwards, they come into a 10th right angle with Saturn. Saturn in your 7th house. And as I said, Saturn can be your guardian this month. Someone could be very charming that you encounter at the start of this month, so that energy can come from outside, and you may actually find them very compelling, very good company to be with. But Saturn's asking you to really tease out what their motives are, or also what they're offering you in a hard and fast way. If someone's being a bit airy-fairy, or really laying on the charm to such a degree that it's almost making you feel a bit uneasy, you would be right to be cautious. But then on the 9th, as Mars makes its way into Taurus, this is very much to do with improving your financial situation. But for you, because it's the 9th house, it may see you want to be more speculative, maybe even a bit more risk-taking. Now we know that a lot of people are trying different things these days. You hear the saying side hustle. Some people want to trade on sort of markets or work with digital currencies. And all these things, if you really have the time to study them and work with them, have their qualities, I'm sure. But Pluto squares with Mars. So in the latter part of the second week of this month, on the back of the Sun and Venus's stern and very limiting right angle to Saturn, we have a clash, a potential clash of wills. Or is it a clash within yourself? The thing that Uranus has been pushing you to do in recent years is to be more experimental. You may have done some things, but there may still be part of you that wants to stick with what you're familiar with. but maybe it's starting now to actually affect your morale in some ways. If you really feel caged in and trapped, Mars moving into this right angle with Pluto could see you have some inner turmoil, trying to work out exactly what you should do. Fortunately, your ruler Mercury and Venus align between the 14th and the 16th in a way which means that someone can give you some information. They may give you some guidance. They may even give you a motivational chat. But what they tell you can be very, very important and help you to see things in a clearer way. Also on the 20th, we have the summer solstice. The Sun moves into Cancer to join up with Venus and Mercury. What a collective. The next 13 weeks really give you a chance not just to sparkle in terms of your acumen, experience and knowledge, but also sparkle in terms of your social situation. And because Mars is in the 9th house, there may be part of you that actually really wants to be much more rebellious. You could push back at your normal inclination to cover other people's work. If someone wants a day off, yeah, I'll do your role, not a problem. I'll do that overtime. These kind of things, Mars in the 9th house can see you much more resistant to. And because of that summer solstice and Venus and Mercury being in the mix, a much more playful part of your nature needs to manifest itself. But we do see an immediate challenge when the moon goes opposite the sun on the 22nd in the sign of Capricorn. The moon in Capricorn is its least favourite sign, to be honest. It's quite cool here, but for you, this is the 5th and 11th houses competing. And it's possible that more than one person wants a bit of your time. So you can be much in demand, which is very flattering, but what is the right thing to pursue? Because the position of the Sun, Venus and Mercury is very much about the collective, the social situation. The 5th house of the moon is what you need from it as an individual. If you're someone who is in a relationship, you may want to spend more time socializing or pursuing your own personal hobbies. If you're not in a relationship, there could be someone in your social scene or group who starts to take on greater importance for you. But Neptune, the planet that was so important at the start of this month, in its drifting, dreamy combination with the moon, it T-squares this particular full moon, and that can create some distortion. Whatever you're told or whatever you're considering or speculating about as this month comes to a close, I wouldn't make any hasty decisions. Fortunately, and particularly around relationships, Saturn slams on the brakes. Don't see Saturn retrograde as being something that can only cause problems. All it's going to do is ask you to recheck something that you've already learnt over the time since Saturn moved into Pisces in March 2023. If you recall, it got up to 7 degrees before winding all the way back to naught. Now, on this 20-week retrograde period, it's also going to retrace its steps by 7 degrees from 19 to 12 degrees. But it just will ask you some questions because Saturn is about boundaries. It can be about limitation, of course, it can be cool, but it's also about karma. So retracing its steps just on the back of this particular full moon, which can be very sociable, is just saying whoever you decide to link with and however much time you decide to give them, and remember Saturn rules time, make sure it's really right for you. It's not being selfish, but it is making sure that you're being single-minded. So the energy of others can be very charming, and as I say, a lot of people may want a piece of you as this month draws to a close, but ensure that it is right for you. That's really the message as this month comes to a close. So it's an awesome month, Virgo, for you. If you do want to raise your profile, apply for that job, go through that change or transformation that's been calling out for you for some time. If it is your own inner reticence that's stopping you go for something, the tension point really will be the 9th. But there is a chance to use your personality power to the absolute maximum this month. It could be good for you financially. It is important to be sincere, however, particularly as Saturn clashes with the Sun and Venus in week 2. Remember, Venus does rule Taurus, but it also rules Libra. Through Libra, it can be very affable, diplomatic, very presentational, but a little bit synthetic. So if there is something that you're saying you can achieve within a particular role or a service or a product, it is really important that you can follow up on that and actually deliver. But the last week of this month is very much a time to enjoy being more playful, having some time out, and really connecting with people. It's just about choosing the right ones. I hope you have a great month, Virgo, in June. Please sub to help grow my channel if you've yet to do so. And if you'd like to ascend above this zodiac forecast and embrace the value of more serious astrology, if you give me 3 pieces of birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can produce for you your life roadmap report, but also your 12-month transits report. And it's 30% off. But if you know your tropical astrology, why not check out my draconic reports? These help you to understand the karmic, the soul elements of what you brought into this life and how you've evolved with your natal tropical astrology. It really is gripping stuff. 30% off those as well. Please see the link below for more.